So it's been about a week since the Generation 8 Nintendo Switch games Pokemon Sword and Shield were announced, and as is tradition on my channel, we're going to be talking about my personal hopes, expectations, and in general things that I personally want to see in these games. Now sure, we may not have gotten a lot of information in the reveal trailer, but honestly it gave us quite a bit more than a normal reveal trailer would give us. So there are some things we can cross off the list already. For instance, better graphics than the Let's Go games would have definitely been a must-have, but it's something that is evident in the trailer. I mean, if you compare the two, it's really just no contest here. So yeah, with that, welcome to my list of everything I believe we need to see in Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. And before we start, a couple of things I want to talk about are that we're only going to be talking about things that aren't confirmed or at least apparent in the trailer. And rather than do it in a top 5 style like I normally do, I felt it might be better to do it in a sort of Nintendo Direct style. Give a bunch of quick and small points or wants in between the big ones that need a lot of detail. It's definitely something a bit different, so definitely let me know in the comments if it's the style you like.
If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. And with that being said, let's get started.
Starting off, let's get a few of the obvious ones out of the way. Something that I'm sure most people want to return to Pokemon Sword and Shield is the option to have Pokemon following you. This is something that's pretty easy and reasonable to ask of Game Freak, as we know that walking and running animations do exist for all 809 Pokemon and their different forms. So please Game Freak, just put them in. A point that I've touched on in the past is also having side quests return. Game Freak was dipping their toes into the water with this in all of the Gen 7 games, but I think it's time for them to fully dive in. Instead of just a simple fetch quest or babysitting a Pokemon that just gives us a overall small reward, why don't we get something that gives us a bit of a longer adventure that rewards players with really valuable items? I'm sure I've talked about this at least twice on my channel now, but please make mythicals meaningful again. Like please. I'm so sick and tired of them just being given to us at like a GameStop or something. Like, make us earn it. Give us an adventure to get these exclusive Pokemon. One thing that I could definitely appreciate in the Alola games were Game Freak's attempts to get the community together to do a tremendous task in exchange for very mediocre prizes. Honestly, I love this idea and hope they try it again in Sword and Shield. Just give better incentives and make more realistic goals, and I'm sure people will flock to the task at hand. This leads us to our first major need in Sword and Shield. One of the major flaws in the global missions is that a lot of the rewarding was done in the Festival Plaza. Now don't get me wrong, it was not well done at all and made things way more difficult than they needed to be, but in concept it was a fun idea. But what truly worked well was the PSS system in X and Y, and of course in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. It did everything it needed to do, and it was quick and simple to use. Wanted to trade or battle a friend? Bam, you could just do it right there. Wanted to try and make some new friends? Simple. And O powers, man. Freaking O powers, I miss you so much. Overall, I think this system needs to return. Simplicity can often triumph something more complex than it. What's the old saying again? Less is more? And that certainly was the case with the PSS. However, I don't think that means Game Freak necessarily needs to abandon the idea of the Festival Plaza. Just do it right and in tandem with the PSS system. If you want a lobby system, make something similar to the Xenoverse 2 or Fighters lobbies. Nothing too big, everything is easily accessible, and players can interact with each other in a fun way. Give us a battle arena where players can either spectate or be in the next line to take down the current lobby champion. Give us a Pokemon rental system like we had in the previous games. Maybe give us mini games that we can play with other groups of players like we had in the Stadium games. I think doing this would fully realize what Festival Plaza should have been and will give people incentive to actually go online to have fun. Or if you're one of those players who just wants to get straight to the point of battling or trading a friend, pull up the PSS system and get straight to it. Now getting back to our quick wants, can we please get a free moving camera? I know a lot of people are saying that it's most likely fixed like in Sun and Moon, but there are plenty of times in the trailer where it looks like it could absolutely be a free moving camera and just locked in some places. Which honestly, I wouldn't be mad about. It's definitely a small want, but it would mean a lot to be able to freely view the beautiful world they're giving us. Alright, now here's a pretty unrealistic one. Giving us voice acting. Now, of course, I'm not talking about the whole game, but they could certainly give it to us in a Breath of the Wild style. Major cutscenes get voices, and everything else just gets grunts or other sounds. Now, sure, it's probably not going to happen, but with how cinematic Pokemon is getting, I feel an addition like this would definitely feel right at home in a home console. Next, we have something that I believe a lot of us have been craving for a while now. Puzzles. Yes, we have minor challenges in all Pokemon games, but nothing is too hard. But this meme right here reminded me of how challenging certain things could be in the older games. I mean, needing a Relicanth and a Wailord in specific positions in your party to be able to get to the Reggie's dungeons just to complete even more puzzles really felt like a fun set of tasks that made getting the legendaries actually feel as if I earned them. Game Freak shouldn't fear giving players a challenge. We live in the age of the internet. If something is too hard, most people will have no shame in looking up a tutorial. In addition to more puzzles and dungeons, there should also be an emphasis on exploring this region. Pokemon games have always moved in a linear fashion, but it's clear that the older games had no problem having you backtrack to discover new areas and find secrets hidden throughout the world. With what seems to me to be Game Freak's largest region yet, it's a perfect opportunity to take inspiration from past titles and make players traverse every nook and cranny of the Galar region. But what about once you're done doing that? Well, obviously, you have to have the post-game to look forward to. Unfortunately though, Pokemon's post-game has been pretty lackluster the last few generations, and it's really just a shame. Generation 2 gave us Kanto, Hoenn gave us the Battle Frontier, and so on, but Gen 6 and 7, we got Looker missions and the Ultra Beasts. And that's really it, so let's change that. As I and many others have discussed, with the Galar region being based on the UK, it's a no-brainer to have a post-game visit to Kalos. There was so much unfinished business in Kalos, which I did a video on by the way, that it feels almost criminal that we haven't gone back there yet. Well, here's the chance to tie up all those loose ends X and Y brought us. Show us what the Kalos region is like after the protagonists save the planet. Let us run through the gyms and their Elite Four, maybe even give us some new faces. I mean, Ramos is getting pretty old by this time. It doesn't have to be too deep or anything, but let us have another adventure so that the game is worth coming back to after it's finished. And who knows, if these games decided to bring us new megas, what better way to discover them than by going back to the region that introduced us to them? Just thinking about that makes me super excited, and I'm sure plenty of you feel the same way. However, if we don't end up going back to Kalos in the postgame, I think we're all in agreement here that we need something better this time around. Speaking of postgame, one thing that'll surely have people coming back for something non-story related has to be shiny hunting. Obviously, we have been getting new shiny hunting methods with every new game that is released as of late, so that should continue here, right? But there's some methods that are just too good to throw away, so why not bring them back? I'm not saying to not add any new shiny hunting methods, but build upon what we already have to have a giant diverse and variety of different ways to shiny hunt. I mean, right here we can see the players sneaking in the grass. Maybe we could see the return of the DexNav way of Pokemon hunting, or even horde encounters. I mean, with the more powerful hardware that we have now with the Nintendo Switch, I think it should be no problem having accurately scaled Wailords on the screen, which would be something really special to see. Another feature that I would love to see return into these next Pokemon games absolutely has to be the challenge mode. But rather than unlocking it through a normal playthrough, we should just have the option to just go with it straight away. It really would make a lot of people happy, and there's no real reason not to do it. Especially since there are a lot of people complaining about how these games are too easy or too hand-holding, so just give them the veteran mode to shut them up. Just drop them in with no tutorials and harder battles, and hopefully it'll cease the complaining. Oh, who am I kidding? There's not a chance. Another thing that would be useful right at the beginning of the game would be more character customization options. I'm not asking for anything on the Skyrim level, but just let us feel more like individuals. Instead of just 4 skin tones, give us a slider for better representation. In addition to that, give us eye color and hair options. Of course, save some for later as we progress, but at least give the basics so we can feel more like us at the start rather than halfway through our adventure. Speaking of the adventure, I think we need to keep on the Gen 5 and 7 route of having an actual engaging story. I know not everyone plays Pokemon for the story, but if you don't, you're likely going to ignore it anyways, so at least have it there for the people that do want it. Seriously, Game Freak, please continue to have interesting characters with a deep background and a story that makes us think and feel like these 2 generations did. And this leads us to main want number 3, which is to actually have an effect on the story itself. No matter how engaging the stories in Gens 5 and 7 were, it was always played out for us. The only control we actually had is how long it took us to get through it, which is fine, but it could be so much more. Now, I think we would ultimately have similar outcomes no matter what, but I'd like to think they do something like what Undertale did. 3 possible routes and endings: neutral, good, and bad. The neutral being an even mixture of making good and bad choices. The good being, well, good, and bad, well, you get the point. These kinds of decisions could come in the form of an NPC asking you for help, giving you the option to be a hero or a coward. These choices, while still leading to whatever outcome they have in store for us, could change how everyone in the region perceives you. Perhaps the early choices help decide how difficult of a threat the evil team is to you. Obviously, I don't have anything too concrete, but you get the idea. A system like this could seriously move Pokemon in a much more immersive direction, and I honestly can't imagine anyone really having much issue with that. So back to some of the other random thoughts that I had. A few ideas came from one of my friends on Twitter, and I really agreed with a few of the things he said. One of those being that we should either not have a dragon pseudo-legendary Pokemon, or at the very least have 2. And honestly, I cannot agree with this more. Don't get me wrong, the new dragons introduced in each gen are usually super cool with great designs and lore, but I can't help but think about how Generation 3 had Salamence and Metagross. 2 super amazing and iconic Pokemon, one of them introducing a new dual type combination. As of recording this video, there are 24 completely unused dual types that don't include the dragon typing, and I think a special way to introduce one of them would be to make it a badass non-dragon pseudo. The next point is of a much smaller urgency, but it is still worth mentioning. Generation 6 introduced 72 new Pokemon, while Generation 7 gave us 88. Now yes, we also got 48 Megas and 2 Primals in Gen 6, as well as 18 regional variants in Gen 7, but I would still like to see just a few more completely brand new Pokemon added. Nothing crazy like in Generation 5, but maybe something in the low 100s? I mean, I'm not going to be upset if it's around the same amount as the last few gens, however, it's just a small thing that I would think would be nice. On that note, in addition to a few more brand new Pokemon, I also say give us some more new regional variants. I know it seems like I'm asking for a lot here, but I mean, it would be nice. I've shown an immense amount of praise for these forms before, as it's so brilliant from a marketing and scientific perspective. So personally, I would think it would be weird if they chose not to continue to do them. Although, if we could get more than just Kanto Pokemon this time around, that would be great. I mean, Galar Flygon, that'd be pretty sick. And to go along with these new Pokemon, why not add some new Pokeballs? Gen 7 brought us the Beast Ball, and Gen 5 brought us the now useless Dream Ball. So it's been quite a while since we got something completely new and useful, so why not do that here? Give us a Pokeball that makes catching regional variants easier, or one that works better in the rain. Just give us anything that can pertain to this region and be useful going forward. Now, with all of this talk about Pokemon in the region itself, I have to mention one of the cooler concepts from Alola, being the Totem Pokemon in boss battles. Now, depending on your team, these Pokemon could be really troublesome and could really put your skills to the test. It was something that was unique, but also made perfect sense. Of course, in the world of Pokemon, you could have some that are just bigger and more powerful than the others of its species. Like this Dragonite from the original series, or even Ash's Pikachu. And yeah, of course, that's just the anime's canon, but why shouldn't that exist here as well? I mean, if it exists in our world, remember this absolute unit? This thing is f***ing huge. So yeah, I'm not necessarily saying that Game Freak should make these Pokemon a requirement to battle throughout the game, but certainly having them exist to be an option is something that would be really cool to see. Especially if they made them way more powerful, at least from the initial battle anyways. This, I think, should also apply to boss battles. Lusamine wasn't too difficult to me anyways, but she was certainly not easy either. And Ultra Necrozma, this thing was ridiculous, but in a good way. It gives an opportunity to really challenge the player and actually makes the final bosses feel like forces to be reckoned with, so let's add it. Alright, we're now at our final section of the video, and I think I definitely saved some of the good ones for it. Starting with having a mix of overworld and random encounters. Now look, I know it appears as if they've completely done away with the idea of having encounterable Pokemon appear in the overworld, however, that's just because the area wasn't flooded with Pokemon like they do in Let's Go. While I do prefer random encounters as it is a staple in Pokemon, I will say not being able to have any Pokemon at all in the overworld just makes it feel a little empty. So even if it's just a once in a while type of thing, I think it's absolutely something they should continue to do to make the world feel more alive. To add on to that, if they choose not to go the route of having encounterable overworld Pokemon, they need to, at the very least, have Pokemon appear in the overworld. Again, it's harping on the same point, but being able to see Pokemon just doing things really makes the world feel more alive. They've done this a little bit in the 3DS games, but with the more powerful hard drive of the Nintendo Switch, it's something they absolutely must continue. Another feature they could bring back to make the world feel more alive is bringing back a more dynamic weather system, like how we had in Generation 5. Yes, we have certain areas that rain and snow in the newer games, but I'm talking full-on Breath of the Wild-like weather in combination with changing seasons. I'm talking rain, thunderstorms, extreme wind, drought, snow, blizzards, and the list goes on. To add to that, maybe different weather systems encourage more Pokemon of a certain type to appear. I think this is something that made Breath of the Wild special and could definitely work in Pokemon as well. And with Breath of the Wild in mind, how about we take one more inspiration from that game? Much like how the Blood Moon respawns monsters and makes them more powerful, why don't we have certain events that happen in-game that can make certain types of Pokemon and subsequently the trainers of those kinds of Pokemon appear more powerful? Imagine it being nighttime in a forest area of the game and you're suddenly attacked by a Spinarak and Eryizo with buffed up stats. Something like that could definitely make exploration more interesting and could even influence the order you decide to do things in. And finally, one of the biggest things I think we need to see from Pokemon Sword and Shield has to be a true co-op system. Let's Go was a nice step in that direction, but really, the second player couldn't do much other than helping you catch Pokemon. But imagine this. You start a world with a friend, and you guys are each other's rivals, and the goals are basically the same as every other game. Can you become the champion of the region? Can you complete your Pokédex first? You pretty much know the drill and what I'm talking about, but of course something like this wouldn't offer much of a post-game, but the journey to the end would be pretty awesome to see. If you pull ahead of your friend or vice versa, the NPC talks about seeing you guys and how tough you were to battle. Or how about you get to a point in the story where you have to beat the evil team, only to find out that your rival actually took care of them first. Things like that would be pretty awesome to see, and would really feel like a unique adventure. Now, of course, what I'm saying isn't perfect or probably how they'd end up doing it, but you can see the possibilities here, right? It's something that I truly believe should be implemented into the series in some way, shape, or form. I really believe this is something a lot of people would want in these games, and because it's an online feature, it would really push out those Nintendo Switch Online memberships, exactly how Nintendo wants. But the real question is, do I actually believe that this will happen? Well, probably not, but a man can dream, right? We'll just have to wait and see. But if we can get at least a fifth of this list into the games, I think these next Pokemon games are going to be amazing to play.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and let me know in the comments section below. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and become an Eryizo today.
If you want to check out the previous video I did, be sure to click the annotation on the left. And if you guys want to see some more Pokemon Sword and Shield videos, click the other annotation on the right. And with that being said, I will see you guys next time.